Thanks for joining. In the current session, we are going to discuss about the Docker volumes. What is the Docker volumes? Docker volumes are file system mounted on Docker container to preserve the data generated by a running container. So Docker volumes are Docker storage. So before we discuss about types of Docker volumes, I want to give you a demo why we need the Docker volumes. So I'm going to create a .NET console application, new console. So I'll go to open Visual Studio Code to modify the code. And I will add piece of code. So this code will help to generate the file and count number each time when you run the application. It will count how many files is existed in that path and it will give the output. So to demonstrate that, maybe here it is not very visible. I'll go to here and .NET run. So the file has generated and calculated equal to 1. I'll run one more time. So count has increased and 2. And I'll run one more time. Count will be increased and count should be 3. So when I run the application every time, the count of the files will increase and shows the result will increase by 1. So say I'm expecting the same behavior when I created a Docker image for this particular code and push to the container. I should expect the same behavior. Let's try. So for that, what we do, Docker build -t volume demo app dot. Okay, sorry, I think we did not create the Docker file, right? So go back to the Visual Studio Code and generate the Docker file. So Docker file and copy the piece of the instructions which we generate the Docker image. So these instructions is helping to build the package and generate the image using the runtime base image. So what I will do is I'll just save this Docker file and go back to the command prompt, to the CLS and run docker build -t volume demo app. So Docker image has been built. Now I want to run the Docker run rm volume demo app. So count equal to 1. I'll just do the CLS. Count equal to 1 and I run one more time. I'll run one more time. Each time when I run, count is not increasing and the program is not behaving as expected. When I run the program in local, the count should be increasing 1, 2, 3. But when I push the code into the Docker container through the Docker image, but the code is not working as expected. Why? Why? Because of when you run the code, it is generating the Docker container each time, every time, and it is not using any persistent data is referring to the previous when we run. So that's the reason each time it is taking as a new container and it is starting referring to the path where it is created the container, and there is no file exists, so it is giving the count is 1. So that's the reason we need the Docker volume. So to store the data is generated by the application in the container. So now we see the what is the types of container volume types available in the Docker: bind mounts, volumes, and TMP-FS. So bind mounts may be stored anywhere in the host system, meaning you can give whatever the source path, wherever which path you want to refer, you can give that path in the host system. They may even be important files or directories. Non-Docker process on the Docker host or Docker container can modify them anytime. So when you created a directory to store the Docker files, those directories can access by the non-Docker processes and can modify or can delete them, which will impact the application in the container. So that is one drawback. But we discussed about the volumes. Volumes are stored in the part of the host file system, which is managed by the Docker. So meaning you cannot give the source path. It will take automatically where it has to store. So this is the given paths. It will store the Docker data, the container application generated data in the container. So non-Docker process should not modify this part of the file system. Volumes are the best way to use the persisted data in the Docker. And the third type is TMP-FS. Mounts are stored in the Docker host system memory only and never written into the host file system. So when you stop the container, this TMP-FS data, whatever it was generated, it will lost automatically. And one of the limit is these are supported only by the Linux systems. So we talked little bit about these bind mounts and the volumes. Volumes are preferred mechanism for persisting data generated by the Docker containers. Why? Because of Docker volumes are easier to backup or migrate than bind mount. Why? Because of volumes type is storing you only in the specific path. So anybody who want to take the who want to migrate or who want to take the backup, they can go refer to that particular path and take the backup. When you use the bind mount, you can give any source path wherever you can give in the D folder or E folder, E drive or D drive you can give, and you can store anywhere in the host file system. Also one advantage is you can manage the volumes using Docker CLI commands or Docker API. Volumes work similarly on both Linux and Windows containers. Volumes can more safely shared among the multiple containers. New volumes can have their content pre-populated by the container. So these are all the advantages among the bind mount using volumes. I mean, when you are using volumes, it is most preferred than the bind mounts. So now we see actually it is a specific requirement. I will say you can use the bind mounts also when you want to give the source path is in your as you like, but the volume types will not allow to you to give the source path is in your preferred path. So that way you can use the bind mounts. So no matter which volume types are you are using, but both will behave same way. Only the drawback is only the difference between the bind mount and volumes is volumes will be stored in the specific path. Bind mounts you can give the any path in the host system to store the data. So now we go through the how we can run the bind mount volume. So this is a syntax. You can use either hyphen volume or hyphen mounts. So when you use the mounts, you need to specify additional parameters like source equal to, destination equal to. But when you use hyphen volume, just specify the source is the data where you store in your physical machine. App slash my data, this is the path where container is stored that. So it will refer that path, and both same. So the syntaxes is different, but it will behave both are same. So I'll switch to the command prompt to demo how we can run the container with the bind mount volume. So docker run --rm. So remove the container when it is stopped. --, volume data app my data volume demo app. So this is the source path, this is the destination path, and run. Count decrease to 5 because we are already running, right? So now I will run one more time. Should be 6. So I'll use another syntax which we use the --, mount as well. Should be 7. So see, so no matter which syntax you use, so it will behave same as it is. Now we will see the Docker volumes type. So syntax attaching volume container is --, volume mount. So for this, what you can do is you can create the volume, and then you can pass that source volume to the source path, and destination as same as. So I'll switch to the, as I mentioned previously, the bind mount and the volume type. The difference is only the thing is you no need to the source path is you no need to provide. It will take automatically into the specific path only. So I'll switch into the command prompt. So for that, what I will do is first I will create the volume. Docker volume, my volume. So volume is created. You can see Docker volume ls. So this is the one just created, and I want to pass this volume to our container. When we are running this container, I want to pass. So cls docker run it interactive mode -v my volume /app / my data volume demo app. So count is equal to 1, and when you run, count should be 2. When you run, count should be 3. So why? Because of it is 1 is it is referring to this volume, my volume. So volume type what we created just now is referring, it's not referring the bind volume path. So that's the reason it started count is 1, 2, 3, and you can use the other one also, the second syntax. And then run. So this is the how volumes types is will work. So I'll show you few comments like docker volume inspect my volume typo. So this will give that where is the mount point and when it was created and name of that and scope it will give you, and even you can remove the volume docker volume rm my volume. Why it cannot remove it? Because of container is using that. So you can go here and see docker ps docker ps hyphen a. So this is the containers is using the volume docker system tool. So I'm removing all. Then you can go to docker volume ls. Still it existed, and you can go to docker volume rm my all removed. Now you can go to docker volume ls. It's gone. There is no my underscore hyphen volume is not there. It was removed automatically. I mean when I run this command, it was removed. So that's all about the docker volumes.